We're back with more Sisters of Battle.
Spiky Bits.
Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. I'm Rob Baer from SpikyBits.com, and today we are taking a closer look at the new Sisters of Battle Seraphim squad. Now, this is quite a new release, but right now there isn't a whole lot of new releases out there, so I thought it'd be cool to kind of go back and take a look at some of the stuff that all came out at the same time, and now we can have the time to kind of get in there and show you a little bit more about the models. Now, the Seraphim squad is priced at $55 US, which is pretty much in line with our pricing expectations, you know, based off of things we've seen in the past with Primaris 5-man squads, you know, 50 mil 3-man base units being $55, and then also primarily on the Chaos Havoc pricing. Fortunately, you get all of the bits in here to make both the Seraphim and the Seraphim, I guess they're called. I'm kind of curious on how they do all these little fancy, these are probably just like topper bits up here for their Seraphim jump packs, but and it looks like they have some different head options too. These are more the close combat version, and the other ones are the kind of close in shooty version. So I'm sure there's some sharing of bits in here, but as far as that goes, I'm not exactly sure because we need to take a closer look at the sprues here. Now remember, you can always get your hobbies for less from Miniature Market or Dicehead.com. Now, obviously, in the current world situation, some stuff might be out of stock. They might not be shipping. They might be shipping now. They might not be shipping next week. So, you know, it's going to be a little bit harder to source your hobby needs these days. But, you know, I'm sure with a little effort, you can probably find what you need somewhere. If not, if you end up on Amazon too, well, they seem to have a lot of stuff as well. Here's the breakdown of the contents of the box. So you're going to get 2 sprues. They're not identical, which is nice. Some bases and 6 flying stands right here. You only need 5, so you kind of fielder's choice on which sizes you want to go with. There's some smaller ones and some larger ones. It kind of varies. I've magnetized those, and I think we did a video on how to, oh yeah, with the aggressors too. So maybe look that up, or I'll link it in the channel, you know, somewhere around in the description or in the cards or something like that, because we've done a tutorial on how to magnetize those stands. And in theory, it would work on here because these seem to be just about as chunky as the not the aggressors, the suppressors. Everything starts sounding the same. We did aggressors too, but that's a completely different thing. And the instruction manual. So let's take a closer look at the sprues themselves, but I do want to flip through the instruction manual. Oh, and a decal sheet too. Yay! I'm not a huge fan of using those on small infantry size models personally. Now, as far as construction of the models go, very similar to what we've seen on the infantry, the normal ground pounding infantry. So you got a front and back kind of clamshell. You've got this additional tabard up here. It seems like all the multi-part sisters their capes are flowing in the wind, and the ones that came, maybe the ETB ones, if you want to call them that, those that came in the starter army, those are kind of, I don't want to say single pose, I don't want to say dull, but they're definitely not as dynamic as these sisters here, and you can see why when they start doing all these different kind of clamshell patterns of like the robes and different things. And then when it comes to weapons, the Seraphim, I mean, obviously the Superior is going to have her choice of all different things, but you can see with these other ones, you're going to have choice of the Flamers, choice of the Bolters here. I guess that, yeah, that's right, they don't get Plasma. They do get the Inferno right there. So, and you're going to have 2 different sets of heads to choose from as well. Now, I imagine one of these arms is going to get swapped out when it comes to the Seraphim, but let's kind of fast forward to that, and it looks like, yep, there's 2 different heads right there. So there's going to be a lot of different heads, and they have some extra bits and accessories and things to kind of slap on them there at the end. I really like that look of the hooded one, but I feel like if you're flying around in the air, you probably want to have a helmet on, but that's just me. That's just my personal preference. Now, jumping into the Seraphim, or the Seraphim rather, the Sister Superior those look like the same exact bits I just showed you. That's the same. I guess she can have this standard thing, and that's the same. I want to say 59 and 57 was the same right there. So it might be that she's actually the same, 59 and 57. She is actually the same. But when it comes to, and there's extra little bits and stuff you can put on her. But when it comes to these over here, you've got D that comes with Bolter 57. Oh, or you can make her as D number 57. So I guess the first new one would be A. because it's the same bolter pistol, so you couldn't use that twice. And they give you no other option right there. 47, 40, different front, same back. Okay, so that's just a variant. So there's 6 different ones that you could possibly create here. So let's look at A. So A has bolter 9 and power sword 12. Bolter 9 and power sword 12. So that's duplicating the right arm, and then the left arm looks to have the close combat weapon. So these are going to be very similar, but then they have the different heads. So there's a lot of heads in here for sure. And are these different jetpacks? That's crazy that they did just different jetpacks. No way. Did they? Seraphim A, part 13, part 14. Wow. They give you extra jetpacks that are all one piece. That's kind of cool. That gives you actually a lot of different opportunities maybe to slap those on, well, I guess your sisters, you'd have to do them on superiors. But that's interesting that they give you those extra bits. Very, very interesting. So what I'm curious about is if we can use the standard 1/8 inch magnet right here to attach that to the base or the model up here, so you don't have I'm actually going to grab those when we build them. I'm going to grab my suppressors and kind of show you what we did there. I don't think I'm going to have time today to actually do this, but we're going to try to fit the magnet up in there just to find out for ourselves if it would work. So let's take a look at the sprues. So here's the first sprue, and it does look indeed like there is a butt ton of jump packs in here. So that's really cool to see. $55 for 5 models. I mean, obviously you can do the math on that real quick. That's $11 a model, which, you know, for plastic, we've definitely seen it increase over the years. So it's kind of nice when you see things like this. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying I like to see more value in my kits, and that definitely seems to be more value to me. I'm sure folks have a different opinion of it, as we heard when we break down some of the bigger boxes, but I like to see that sort of thing. And there's definitely all sorts of different arms and things, as I showed you. So you're going to have your Seraphim arms, which are mostly close combat, so you're going to basically have a duplicated arm. So at the very least, you're going to have at least 3 sets of arms, if not more, for the superior option, and then this standard right here. So I mean, as far as detail and posing goes, I mean, you can see up here on the standard, like, that's pretty crazy detailed. You don't even have to super worry about painting it. It's almost tracing it at that point, no freehand involved. And then the brazier right here looks really good. Chainsword's always looking fresh. All these extra icons that you can put on the backs. And I really like the jump packs. Like, I've seen, you know, I was around, I think I had some of the sisters that were pewter models on those little mini flying stands, and those things didn't work too well. They fell over a lot. So it's nice to see these, although I'm curious how they're going to work on the flying stands right here. So as far as I can tell, these seem to be more dynamic and more posable than the squad that came in the army box. So here's 2 different Seraphim models. I'll give you 2 guesses, mostly one, of which one is the new multi-part kit and which one is out of the starter box. The one in my left hand is the more dynamic and multi-part version of the Seraphim out of the new kit we just showed you, and then this is one out of the Army starter box that came out in November. Now, I mean, just looking at it, they are both very dynamic, so almost more so than comparing the infantry to each other. I mean, the jetpacks look pretty much the same. You know, this has a lot of motion to it. Only could be built as Seraphim, so this, unfortunately, we built it as a Seraphim as well, so we're not going to know what the Seraphim styling is. But then if you look at the chest, it's a little bit more detailed. There's grenades dangling off on the one on the left right there. And as far as the faces go, they're about identical as best I can tell right here, I think. So I'm kind of happy. I'm honestly happy with the quality of both of them, to be quite honest. Maybe the posability of the Seraphim kit will kind of sell it in hobbyist eyes as, oh, hey, I need this so I can build both. But to me, I feel like posing and quality wise, they're about the same. Yes, I know the barrels need to be drilled out. Now, this one was glued to the flying stand right here because there was enough space right there that it felt like, I mean, she doesn't weigh a whole lot. So, I mean, if you have a room in your case, you could probably do that. Now, me personally, I like to paint the flying stands. I don't like a whole lot of unpainted details or components, I guess, pieces of my models. So I generally try to paint all those. Now, then I used a little blue tack here on this one when we built this. Actually, Tim built this here at the studio, and what I wanted to see was if we take the magnet from, it looks like there's plenty of room. So if you wanted to put a 1/8 inch magnet in there, you could. Now this, I supported the 1/8 inch magnet with a little Vallejo plastic putty around there because, like I said, I'm going to paint this stand, so I wasn't too worried about it. And then I coated the bottom of the suppressor as well with a little bit of plastic putty around the edges where it might have kind of overlapped. So this actually grabs really, really good. I mean, I'm just gravity's kind of swirling him around, but I mean, he's not falling off or anything. So you could do that with your Seraphim, but you know, Marines are a little bit more bulkier. I don't think you might need to do that, but if you do, you can definitely pick up some 1/8 inch magnets from Magnet Baer, and that's our definitely one of the people we love to talk about. He has a ton of dope ass products over there, and really all you need is magnets. You don't need any fancy redo of the flying stand or anything like that if you just don't want to glue them on the stand. I think that is actually pretty reasonable. I think it'll hold the weight. Just obviously don't drop your miniatures, because that's probably never a good thing right there. So overall, I think the new kit's probably a win just because of the components in it. But if you're looking to save a little hobby dollars, then maybe you just want to go with the ones from the army box if you can find them separately somewhere, or still can scoop up the army boxes right there. And there's a sizing compared to a suppressor from the Shadow Spear or the new Vanguard Start Collecting box. Got some extra bits on there from my Iron Warriors from Pop Goes the Monkey, so he hooked me up with a whole bunch of different bits to well, continue on the Iron Warriors tradition going on into the Age of Primaris, I suppose. So that is it for this one. Make sure you check out Miniature Market or Dicehead Games, so you can always get your hobbies for less at dicehead.com. And if not, well, it's going to be a little bit harder to find things for a few months probably. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can be the very first to like and comment on all our videos.